This day, Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. I have another double M. Mark Murphy is here. He is, of course, the CEO of the legendary Green Bay Packers. Welcome to the Playbook, Mark.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited because, front office guys of NFL teams especially have great playbooks to success. It's not just the coaches that have those great playbooks, but it's the CEOs and presidents of the companies as well. The only difference that I found from interviewing CEOs of franchises like yours is it's much easier to interview you than it is a football coach, because from my experience, the football coaches have been trained to say as little as possible. So all the NFL
You don't want to help the opponent. Yeah,
exactly. Or give the media anything to go with, right? So I've had a few really tough interviews with NFL coaches, but had great experience with people like you. So thanks for joining me. And I want to get a little bit of background, because there's a lot that a CEO does of an NFL franchise. And I think a lot of people, they'll tell me, I want to be a sports agent. I ran Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, the notable sports agency. And remarkably enough, I always find that young people have no clue what a sports agent does. They've seen Jerry Maguire 2 times and they think, oh, that's what the business is. So I thought we'd start with just educating, the audience on what the roles and responsibilities of a CEO of a 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers may look like.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to start, because the Packers are such a unique organization with our ownership structure. We don't have an individual wealthy or deep-pocketed owner. We just had our sixth stock sale, and I think we have just under 540,000 shareholders now. So we're owned by the shareholders, by the community. And as a result, my position is a little unique in the NFL. I represent, we don't have one individual owner, but when we have owners meetings in the NFL, I represent the Packers. And my wife calls me a phoner. I'm an owner without the money.
Yeah, that sounds like something my wife would tell me.
And so, I in some ways, I act as an owner, although I'm obviously not an owner, and then I'm a president as well. And most teams have an owner and a president. But, I think it's worked well for the Packers. So my job's maybe a little different, or certainly than a normal president. I have responsibility for the entire organization, obviously, but directly with football and then the business side. So, in terms of football, the general manager, the head coach, and our executive vice president of football all report to me. And then on the business side, we have what we call a senior staff. So it's myself and 7 vice presidents. And that's really where the business decisions and the business of the organization is run. And then on top of all that, we have a board of directors, which is pretty similar to a board of trustees at a university. So the board is, we have 45 members in our board. And then there's an executive committee, of which I am a member. And there's 7 there. And we meet on a monthly basis. They get reports from our general manager, Brian Gutekunst. And then I update them on a monthly basis. So it's a very different model, but has worked for us over the years.
And it continues to work as you suggest. And being friends, or at least associates, with a lot of the other owners, I was always curious to ask you, are you kind of like the stepchild? And I was going to say the redheaded stepchild, but I don't want to bring that. But are you kind of the stepchild amongst the billionaires? And especially as the years have gone by and generationally, some of the more hardcore entrepreneurs that built their franchises have passed on and left it to, these billionaire boys of theirs, and girls, by the way, but have left the teams. Are you a stepchild when it comes to ownership, or do they see you, because you're, I think the irony of it is you're the only one who holds both a ring for playing and a ring for being a head office guy, a CEO. So But is there a difference? Do you see an ego in the way you're treated? And you don't have to mention names.
No, yeah, I think that's probably a question better off directing to the other owners. I'm sure some do look at the Packers like, they went, I know we had it was a league meeting once, and it was before our fifth stock sale, and I just explained to the owners we had to get approval to go forward with the stock sale. And during my presentation, Jerry Jones raised his hand. He said, "Mark, tell me a little bit more about this structure. I'm very interested in that." So he liked the idea that we can raise money, but no, I think they understand the other owners. I think they view the Packers very different, unique, but I think there's a level of respect for the Packers, just because of the success that we've had on the field, and also off the field over the years. Obviously, you mentioned the 13 World Championships, and even though we're by far the smallest market, we're usually, in terms of the revenue, recently we've been anywhere between 8th and 10th. So we're almost consistently in the top of the second quartile or the first quartile. That's what owners really respect is
Yeah, it sounds like
financially doing well.
And you piqued the curiosity of being able to raise money in a lot easier way than the traditional owner. Now, one of the things that makes you different as well is that you can be a real CEO and you can look at things with the perspective, for example, with venture and with raising money, but also with tech. And, I was actually hired as CEO of the world's most notable sports agency, not just because I was a lawyer and a person who, unlike you, I was an average Division III football player, but at least I understood the game a little bit and could talk the terms. I just didn't have the experience of winning a Super Bowl ring, or like my business partner Warren Moon, holding records until Brett Favre beat them all. But more importantly, I had this tech background. I ran Samsung's phone division, and I understood how tech was going to apply to sports, for 20 years. And now you've created the TitletownTech venture studio and fund, which, may in the end make more money than a team, determined upon how tech prepares itself.
That would be if we're investing in the right companies.
Yeah, and it could though, and that's what excites me, and we see it everywhere. You currently have, I think, more than 20 portfolio companies in your studio and tech fund. A lot of people got excited when the Dodgers and I think it was Goldman, whoever worked the Dodgers fund. For you, what are you looking for in that venture studio? Are you looking for solutions that can be used with the team in the stadium and the players, or is it a general fund that is just in the sports industry? How do you determine those 20 or more companies that you're funding?
Yeah, well, first of all, and I don't know if people out there are familiar with Titletown, but Titletown is our all-purpose development adjacent to Lambeau Field. It's something we've seen across leagues where there's development around stadiums, and it's something we started looking at years ago, and really pleased with that. We've got 3 anchors. We've got Lodge Kohler. Kohler, I think, doesn't need any explanation. People know that. Bell and Health, our local sports medicine clinic, and then Hinterland, a restaurant and brewery. And then, and we've got a full football field in the middle of the development. We've got a tubing hill, a skating trail, and now we've added townhouses, an office building, and apartments. And then, and as you mentioned, another big part of it is TitletownTech. And TitletownTech, we've got a whole separate building, but that's our partnership with Microsoft. And Microsoft, you can't imagine a better, if you're talking about tech, Microsoft has just been tremendous. And, they're particularly Brad Smith, their CEO, has just been excellent. He's actually from Wisconsin. He's from not far from here in Green Bay. And he's all the people from Microsoft have been all in. And as you said, we're starting to invest in startup companies. We're starting our second fund, so we've done really well in terms of the first round. And we do have a focus on businesses that will be in the sports and entertainment industry. But we really want to focus on companies that will stay in Wisconsin. So we're trying to help the local economy. And so far, I think, almost 90% of the companies we've invested in have had ties or roots in Wisconsin. And, we want it to be something that, we're able to compete in the NFL. But, as things change and having the smallest market could be a disadvantage. And knock on wood, I hope we never see that. But I think some of the things that we're really focusing on with TitletownTech is trying to make Green Bay a little more attractive to particularly young professionals. One of the statistics we looked at, and this goes back to when we started Titletown, was the Green Bay was really at a disadvantage in terms of the number of college graduates in our community. And, that's when companies look at where to relocate, that's one of the things that they look at. So we think TitletownTech will help us quite a bit in that regard.
Absolutely. And take it from a father of a young woman who goes to the University of Wisconsin, and which is not too far away.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Wisco definitely helps bring in some high caliber people. And I've been working with Microsoft as CEO of Samsung's phone division. Our first phone was a Microsoft Windows CE in 1999, not to date myself. So that is a great venture group with Googs and those guys. You cannot ask for better. Why do you think it is, in being around the NFL for so many years, why do you think it is, out of all the cities, big or small, Green Bay has the most loyal fans? They, to me, I think you should get a Canada Goose sponsorship over there, and you'll get a lot more people to come and work there, as long as you can keep them warm. But I am always amazed at every Packers game I go to, the energy, the commitment, the engagement of the fans, the knowledge.
Whether home or away, they travel.
Unfortunately,
unfortunately,
I'm from San Diego.
The main thing.
I was just from San Diego. We had more Green Bay fans. We had more Green Bay fans than Charger fans back when the Jack.
Oh my gosh, remember that game? Yeah.
Sorry, I had to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I think that it's our ownership structure. The vast majority of our fans are shareholders, and they have a vested interest in the team. And then, obviously, I think our history and tradition and the success that we've had. Really, you think back to the early 1990s with, it started with Mike Holmgren and Ron Wolf and Brett Favre, and pretty much we've continued, on a yearly basis. We're, competing we haven't won a lot of Super Bowls. We've won 2. I think we've been in 3 Super Bowls, but we're consistently, in the hunt for Super Bowl championships.
Yeah, I think most people are jealous, regardless of where you're at. Most teams, most fans, most owners, including Jerry Jones, I promise you, are jealous of the Green Bay Packers and wonder how that gets done, which leads me to my last question.
Sure.
One of the advantages of being a CEO of a company, a shareholder company, a public company, is that you don't have the same ego of control of the team. And it seems to be a much healthier environment where your GM and your head coach get to be GMs and head coaches. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I see teams who have, the empowerment of allowing a GM to be a GM and the president to be a president of a team, and especially a head coach to be a head coach without the interference of a billionaire. They seem to be more successful on the aggregate. They seem to have a more consistent winning culture without that type of interference of ego. Have you seen that as a benefit as being CEO, that you can allow those extraordinary coaches and extraordinary GMs and presidents that you've had work for the organization to be themselves and to do their job?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, and you've seen it in any business. I think the best managers and the best leaders, hire good people, give them the support they need, and stay out of their way. And it's, you've got to let them. And I was fortunate. I worked 17 years as an athletic director, at Colgate, my alma mater, and then at Northwestern. And, as an AD, you've got, I think anywhere from 20 to 27 head coaches you're dealing with. And, it's kind of the same thing. You can't, if you start micromanaging and telling them what to do, then you're asking for trouble. And been very fortunate, I had Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson. We had a great run there. And I mean, what Matt LaFleur and along with Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball, what they've accomplished in their first 3 years together it's set history. And we're the first team in the NFL league, first team in NFL history to win 13 or more games each year, 3 years in a row. And then Matt, he 3 years in a row, I think he's got 39 regular season wins. That's the most that any first-time head coach has won in his first years.
Yeah, especially because beginning of the season predictions didn't have you winning 13 games, which makes it even more remarkable. And too, that I always wondered as we close out, as a former player in those first years at Colgate as an AD, were you tempted, because you're a defensive field general as a safety, were you tempted to get involved in the player side of things? Was that a maturation of being an executive through those first years when you first started to be an athletic director?
Yeah, I think over time you understand that you as much as you'd like to get involved, when you start telling coaches what to do, you're really, it's going to eventually not end in a good way. And I've hired a lot of coaches over the years, of some good ones and bad ones, but hopefully I've learned a few lessons along the way.
And are you still a football fan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's phenomenal, the success of the NFL and the popularity. And I think we're all just so fortunate to be in an industry that I can give you some statistics, but you probably know this. Not many people watch live television anymore. It's all, streaming and taped. And, to put it in perspective, and it's from 2011 to 2021. In 2011, 33 of the top 50 shows on broadcast networks were NFL games. Fast forward 10 years, 46 out of 50 were NFL games. So in the league, we're just very fortunate. The networks are willing to pay because they know people will watch. And then the other thing that's really been very fortunate for all of us is we've had labor peace. We had a 10-year collective bargaining agreement followed by another 10-year collective bargaining agreement that just gives you so much stability. And that allowed us to then turn around and negotiate long-term deals with our media partners.
And that also allows you to be so philanthropic, which is the last point that I'd like to make, that the Green Bay Packers are known for what they do for the community, including Titletown and TitletownTech. That is what gives the security and foundation to the community itself, by attracting great people with good hearts, good minds, and open hands. And that's what Wisconsin's known for. That's what Green Bay's known for, along with, there is a reason they call it Titletown. Congratulations, Mark Murphy. You're an incredible leader, an incredible CEO and entrepreneur. I only wish you the best success, and I'll look forward to seeing you at a game this season. Hopefully it won't be too cold, but I'll be rooting for the Pack. Thanks so much for joining me.